gone, still on the ride. Mike and Need be side by side, talking thrills from coast to coast, celebrating what we love the most. Turn it up, feel the vibe, join the thrill of this ride. Hold on tight, it's time to go. Here it is, Coaster Radio.
This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I'm here with my friend E.B. We are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
That's right, Mike. This is a huge episode of Coaster Radio. I think there's so much news that we have to get to here in the first half of the show. In the second half of the show, we welcome back our dear friend, Seth Kubersky, to talk Epic Universe.
Yes, he has actually written the Unofficial guide.
He's written the book on it.
Yes, to Universal Orlando. So what a great friend of the show to have here. Even in this book, which I'm holding up, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, which anybody can, by the way, we are actually mentioned in this book, E.B.
I know, I love that.
We'll talk about that a little bit later with Seth, but so excited to talk with him about Epic Universe. But you said it, man. Like, there's so much to talk about with that park, but there is so much going on throughout the rest of the world in the amusement industry. It's crazy.
Yeah, some really big things. And Mike, one that's near and dear to our hearts, and that's going to be our first drop.
I know. So at the beginning of every season, we do our Coaster Damas episode.
Yes.
You know, and for new listeners who don't know what that is, it's where we make predictions about what is going to happen. And a lot of times, year after year after year, the same predictions come up. I feel the big news from last week is one of those predictions that comes up over and over and over again. But now it's happened.
Well, and I'm trying to remember if I gave up on it and I didn't include it this year, because I do include it most years, that Six Flags America will close. And Mike, Six Flags announced that Six Flags America in Largo, Maryland, outside the DC area, it's closing.
Right.
This is the end. Is it November 2nd, November 5th?
Yeah.
The end of this season. That's it. No more Six Flags America.
Yeah. So you got to at least give Six Flags credit that they aren't doing the same thing they did with Kingda Ka and some of these other roller coasters where they just shut it down and don't
After
give anybody.
The season.
Yeah. At least in this chance, they're keeping the park open all the way through the Halloween time. But then after that, I mean, they're not selling the park to somebody else. They're not saying, hey, somebody else come in and save it. It's gone. I mean, they're selling it for real estate, man. And I'm surprised. I remember, we've talked about Six Flags America. We talked about it on last week's show. And somebody called in and said, oh my gosh, the park's doing great. They've got new trains. They've retracked sections of Roar. Superman's got new trains. It's going to be a great season. And I even said, this is the year I'm going to go back to Six Flags America and give it another chance.
Yep.
I guess I better do it because
I hope you do.
Yeah,
I hope you do. I hope it's not just talk, Mike. I really do hope that you do get to go back again to your home park one last time and experience everything that is Six Flags America.
Yeah.
But do people care? Is this one of those things where people come out and they're like, oh, it's so horrible and I'm so upset. And it's like, you never went to the park and you always badmouthed it. I mean,
yeah. You know, I was looking at a lot of the online chatter, and while people were always saying the same thing, well, it's a bummer to see any park close, there was nobody who was really lamenting. I mean, I haven't seen the dumb online petitions go up or anything like that. You know, people are talking about the Wild One. They're saying that's the oldest roller coaster in the whole chain.
It's 107 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's over 100 years old. It's the oldest roller coaster in all of the Six Flags chain. It relocated to the park. It was in the 80s, I think, and when it was the Wild World at the time, right, and it was the Wild One. But even that coaster, that's not on anybody's list, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anybody coming in and saying, I'm going to save that roller coaster, which is a little bit of a bummer because it is historic and does have the ability to move. We'll get into all the rides and which ones could move later, but did this surprise you at all? Or is this something, I mean, you were one of the ones who were saying from the beginning this park probably does not have long to live because of how expensive real estate is in the DC area.
Yeah, no, I've been saying this for many years here on Coaster Radio. I think going way back, talking about this park, and I think it's 500 acres in the DC metro area. So this is incredibly valuable property. I'm surprised that they didn't also announce Elitch Gardens, which is the other one that keeps coming up on at least my Coasterdamus predictions. That park is is right there in the middle of Denver.
Yeah.
These parks that have valuable real estate, they just don't bring in the money and that the chain wants.
Yeah.
Right. And so and think about it. You're a fan, but the GP, they have a choice of parks in the DC area, whether you're in Maryland or you're in Virginia or you're in the city proper. You can drive an hour or less to Six Flags America, or drive an extra hour and a half and go to King's Dominion.
Yeah.
Or Hershey Park.
Right. Parks
that are leagues better than Six Flags America. So, who's going to Six Flags America? It's fine. Close it.
Better rides, better roller coasters, better
Nobody's going to miss it. Nobody's going to miss it, Mike. Nobody's going to miss it. And and if we want to get into the coasters, nobody's going to miss any of these coasters. Not a one.
I don't think so. There's not one there that you make a pilgrimage to go ride. You know? And I was hearing from somebody who was in the park this past weekend. They said that maybe 200 people were in the park, and look at other parks around the DC area, Kings Dominion, Busch Gardens, Hershey Park, these other parks that are open right now have tons of people in there. You see the parking lots full and stuff. The thing that I'm surprised about is that at Six Flags America, their water park always did better than their dry park.
Sure.
And I am surprised. I thought maybe that the dry park might go, and that sits on a lot of acreage. I thought maybe they'd keep the water park because that is probably profitable, but probably not as profitable as selling the land that it sits on. But I was surprised that maybe they didn't keep a water park in the DC area.
Wouldn't it be interesting if, in Six Flags, I think they did say that they have a contract with a company that's going to prepare the property for development, which I assume just means raise the whole thing and turn it into a grassy field. It would be interesting to see if a developer came in and said, I want to build a 500-acre planned community with all of these homes and all of this mixed-use development. And you know what it's going to have? A wave pool.
Yes, right.
Right?
Yeah,
just keep, or it's going to be and in the middle of the shopping center, a slide tower.
Right.
Yeah, keep it.
Yeah.
Keep the wild one. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be fun if somebody would do that and actually keep a little bit of something behind. And maybe it doesn't even have to be a ride or attraction, right? The front gate is cool. It's impressive. It's a big, what is that? It looks like a big old American building, right? The brick and the columns and the whole thing. And
very colonial.
Yeah. I don't know.
You might be able to keep that as kind of a little park area. And I'm not talking about a theme park, but like a park of some kind with a water fountain or something, or I don't know, something.
Yeah, like a town square kind of a thing for a planned community. And you could, build the high-end movie theater on one end and then build all of the high-end bougie shopping with the apartments above and then the row of townhouses. No, I think so. Or any other, we got a Windseeker there. Keep a couple of attractions. Why not keep a couple of attractions? Who wouldn't want to have,
I like your idea.
A wild mouse, in their town.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a whole park.
It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought for sure.
Or just leave which park left the corkscrew? Like they tore down the ride, but they left the corkscrew just as theming.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Let's just do that.
Maybe.
Just leave. Yeah.
What do you think Six Flags saves and moves to other parks?
Nothing.
You don't even think the flats? I think some of the flats will go.
Oh,
to other parks.
Yeah, sure. Anything that they can pick up and move, right? They've got a Nebulas.
Oh, yeah.
That's certainly going to go somewhere. That's new. Lots of things, but I don't see any of these roller coasters going, right? They're all pretty old. Even Firebird, that's relocated. I'm just looking at the dates here. Raging Cajun could move pretty easily. That's the Wild Mouse that I was saying.
Yeah.
And that would pack up and move pretty easy.
Right.
So probably that. But they're not taking Superman. They're not taking the Mind Eraser. It's a Vekoma Hang and Bang from 1995. They're not going to move the Joker's Jinx, right? That's the launch coaster.
I could see that moving because it's compact.
You think?
I could see. I mean, imagine if they move that to like Michigan's Adventure or something. That's an easy one to disassemble and put back together.
I suppose so, but I mean, again, this is a coaster that was built in 1999.
Yeah, it's old.
At what
it's old,
point
but I wonder how much of its service life is left.
Exactly. I don't know.
I'm going to go out on a limb and do a May Coaster-damus.
You're going to pick some coasters? You're going to pick winners and losers here?
Not so much a coaster. The Nebulas. It's a brand new ride, and King's Dominion just got rid of their Berserker.
Ooh.
Which is a ride right in the front of the park, and that's a big empty space right now. I could see that Nebula's being plunked right there, and it's a great thing as people come in. They see that cool-looking ride.
Very visual.
Very visual. Yeah, I can see that going to King's Dominion.
Okay.
It's not far to move it, and it's brand new.
I like that. You're picking the ride you're saving, and you're predicting where it's going. That's a good double prediction right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the chat room bringing up Lost Island. That's a park that looks at attractions that are, from either closed parks or parks that are getting rid of rides.
And what are they going to take? What are we saying that they're going to take?
I could see that Joker's Jinx going. Like there are some of the rides, like you said, like Superman's not going anywhere. That's too huge of a footprint. The flying coaster, no. Like I don't know. Maybe the floorless, maybe. I don't know. I doubt it, but like I really think the flats, you're going to see flats going all over to parks everywhere. So
sure, yeah.
But man, shocking, right? Like it's one of those things that when I saw the news, you texted me and I was shocked, but not surprised. Like, is it possible to be shocked but not surprised?
Right, sure. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That was coming. I knew that was coming. Sure, it'd be like any sort of news coming out of the White House. Oh my, I guess that makes sense.
Exactly.
It wouldn't matter what it was.
We're kind of used to that these days.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it makes sense though.
Yeah, and the bummer to me though is like anytime this happens, like it affects real people and real families. What was it? 75 associates work at the park full time, which is a lot. I was surprised it was that many at full time, because I know there's a lot of seasonal people who come in, but that's a lot of jobs, and I'm hoping those people maybe can go to other parks in the chain. But
it's a big chain. I would think that they would offer them, opportunities.
Yeah. But still, then you're moving, you're uprooting your life and moving. There's nothing close. What's the closest one? Like King's Dominion, Great Adventure. You're still moving yourself out of the area, so. Kind of a bummer, but it'll be interesting to see reports from the park. Do they keep things running smoothly and go out with a bang this year, or does the park just deteriorate over the season? So we'll see. I think I will go. I will go to say goodbye. Yeah, for sure.
Good. Yeah, go say goodbye. That's nice. All right, Mike. There's another one. I think this was probably also up there as a first drop contender. Let's get to our quick hits.
The Six Flags news was huge, but this would have easily been the first drop any other week. Disney announcing plans just the other day to build a park in Abu Dhabi.
This is wild, right? Yeah. I mean, this is another park they're going to put in the middle of the desert where nobody wants to go, and it's going to be super expensive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I guess this isn't Disney again. This is them contracting out the Disney brand.
Yes.
For somebody else to build it, just like Tokyo Disney Resort is owned and operated by Oriental Land Company. This is going to be, what's the company that runs Ferrari World? It's the same company, right?
I think so. Who is it there? It's
that's who's going to be operating and running this Disney park.
Miral? Is it Miral? Is that who it is?
Okay, that sounds right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and we don't know anything about this at all, right?
Nothing at all. I mean, there's nothing except some very
vague concept art.
Yes. Yeah. Where it just looks like a completely different style of Disney park. I mean, you don't see it. What looks like their castle looks like this big crystal structure. But you don't see the traditional lands, at least from this artwork. You see something that looks completely different.
No, yeah, it's kind of like an AI watercolor sort of thing that we're looking at in this earliest concept art. People are saying this is going to be plopped down on the coast, so it does look like at the bottom of this concept art that we're looking at water. That might actually be the coastline.
Right.
We see this crystal tower. Could that be Elsa's castle?
Oh,
could
maybe?
That be a frozen castle? Is that going to be the castle? And then if you look off to the far right, what kind of structure is that back there? Is that a Tower of Terror?
Oh, it does kind of look like that a little bit. You're right.
Could it be? Right. And then as we go across the back, we see some lines. We see what could be, what is that thing right there? That orange that spikes up into the sky. Then we see something that could be a roller coaster all the way on the left side and then down at the bottom.
Yeah.
What's that half moon looking thing? Is that Tron?
Oh,
could that be?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're taking more of like the modern things. They're not actually looking at like a traditional hub and spoke.
Mm-hmm. And then we see roads. It looks like they're in the center. It looks like roads. That could be the Cars ride, right?
Yeah,
maybe Cars attraction. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Anyway, it's really interesting. We'll have to see how this develops. But this is going to be Disney's 7th resort destination. And it's going to be super high tech. I'm sure it's going to be super modern. It's going to have different IP. It's going to make people want to go there. It's going to, if you've got infinite money, you can build a Disney park. Yeah. That's the lesson here.
What I like about this is, Disney Imagineering loves this because they're essentially being hired by this company that has unlimited money. Mm-hmm. And so they are going to be able to all of a sudden do all of this research and design.
They're going to dig deep into the, there's no way this is ever going to be funded file, right? And bring that out. Yep.
It's going to be exactly what we see at like Tokyo Disney Sea when all of these amazing rides get built over there, because it's not being paid for by Disney or Disney Imagineering's budget. It's being paid for completely by another organization. So all of a sudden, it's going to be the exact same thing. We're going to start seeing all these outrageous ride systems and new things. It's all going to be built there, and maybe we'll get it here in the United States, maybe. But odds are you're going to have to go there. But I keep thinking about that interview that you did with Nick Hudson earlier this year, where he talked about going to parks in that region of the world and how essentially he was saying they were empty, and that it was not like the parks here where thousands of people are there per day. It was really more like hundreds. And so I find that interesting, that they would, that they keep building parks like these. But
and it's just, it's how much money can a prince spend before he gets bored? I think is what it comes down to. Sure. Right. Yeah. And so this is just another awesome project for a prince to build in their backyard on the coastline.
Yeah.
Is really what we're talking about. It's crazy. It's goofy bonkers. And we've got another Disney story, I think, in our quick hits coming up.
Speaking of having lots of money.
This is cool.
You need lots of money for this. It's a new experience at Epcot starting in June of this year. It's called Geo 82 Fireworks Experience. Okay. And tell me if you would pay for this, Evie. Essentially what it is they have, I guess, this new area right close to a viewing area for the nighttime spectacular Luminous, the Symphony of Us. And it's called Geo 82. And so
this is a restaurant.
Yes. So at night, you can go there probably about an hour before the show, and they will give everybody who pays for this experience a private table beside the window in Geo 82.
Okay.
And they say you're perfectly positioned to enjoy the dazzling views of Luminous, the Symphony of Us, their nighttime spectacular. Here's what you get.
Out the window, though? I don't want to be out the window.
You're out the window. Yeah, you don't get to be outside. You're looking through a window while you eat a tasting tower of savory light bites.
I see this in specialty sips and culinary creations.
That's right. And then during the show, you get a selection of sweets, but you get basically a glass of champagne or an exclusive event cocktail. And it does say cocktails. So maybe I was about to complain that for the price of this, which I believe, let me see where it is here. Did I see that it was like $187? Is that how much it was? Yeah, I want to make sure I get that correct. But yeah, I believe it's like around $187 or so. I wonder how many drinks you get with that, because it says champagne that's specifically selected by the people at Disney, or event exclusive cocktails, plus the light bites, plus the sweets. But you get, your own front row seat to see Luminous.
And it's not even, do you get the full dinner?
No, you don't get a full dinner. No,
you don't even get dinner.
You're just basically getting
the ticket and a Hershey Kiss, and a watered down cocktail.
That's, I guess, what you get in there. So
yeah.
So
no, I don't want this. If it was outdoors, and I was like elevated a little bit, that would be like, I don't want to be behind glass to watch a fireworks show. That's weird.
Yeah. And Screamscape is reporting $179 for this.
Okay,
That's
fine.
how much it is. Yeah. So
No, I'm not
that's
doing
expensive, man. Even if you're going on a date, man, that times two.
that. I mean, I've seen fireworks. I don't need to.
Yeah. And like you said, I want to be outside. I'm sure they pipe the music into the restaurant, but still, I want to be
No,
out.
I want to see it and I want to smell it and I want to hear it. I don't
Yeah.
want to be. Yeah. No, I don't like this at all. I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. All right.
Speaking
How
of
about
smelling
this?
it,
Speaking of opening,
I don't know why I said speaking of smelling it, but Top
Sure.
Thrill 2 has
can you
reopened.
smell what the Top Thrill is cooking?
That's right. It's reopened, DB. And
No,
I
this
love
is
it.
great.
On one of the first launches they had on there, they had a rollback, and there's a video that some coaster boy's taken of it, and everybody's screaming and yelling in joy that they had a rollback. It's pretty good.
Isn't it designed to roll back? That's the whole point.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
But or did it roll back when it was supposed to go over? So it was like an extra
did.
roll.
Yes, it did when it was
Right.
supposed to go over. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
more than just rolling backwards after the first launch,
Yeah.
I guess. That's fine. That's
Also,
fine.
the other news is that, I think we're going to hear a trip report here in a second. And supposedly the weather on the first 2 days of opening weekend was not great. There was a ton of wind. So Millennium Farce actually
Yes, I saw this
rallied.
one.
Yeah. So,
And there's video of that. So that
Yes.
was captured on the on the parks cam, I think, where you actually see it go down the first drop. It goes around and around, and then it's kind of towards the end of the ride. I guess the last third of the ride there doesn't make it over that hill, and you can tell already early on. You're like, it looks like it's going pretty slow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it.
I laughed. There was a true Coaster Boy video, and I'm sure if you go out there, you'll find it. And maybe you can favor us with a little Coaster Boy impression here. But you saw the Coaster Boy shooting the video, and you saw the train just going back and forth, like just rocking.
Oh,
back
I haven't
and
seen that
forth.
one yet.
Yes.
I have not seen that one.
And the guy is so excited. He's so excited to be capturing this. And
I'm here for it. This is a special event. I can't believe I was chosen by the coaster gods to witness this. It's amazing.
That's exactly what it was. And he kept
World
going-
star.
World star.
All right, let's play. We have a trip report. Someone
We do.
was there.
Somebody was there for all 3 days. And
All right.
here it is. Let's take a listen.
Hey, what's up, Mike and EB? Sean here. Just got home from the opening weekend of Cedar Point, all 3 days, and it was a fun weekend. There was a ton of rain on the first day, so most stuff didn't open. Ended up riding Magnum, Steel Vengeance, Maverick, and Corkscrew, and then we closed out the day on Top Thrill 2. They finally opened it. They started testing about the last 3 hours of the day, and I think they sent their last train at 10:15 at night, about 2 hours after the park closed. Second day was nothing but wind, and more wind. And Millennium Force valleyed. I'm sure plenty of people saw that. But aside from that, we still got rides on Maverick, Steel Vengeance, and Top Thrill 2 did not open that day. Because again, wind was causing it to do a full rollback. So day 2 was the chill day. Day 3 was the fun one. Almost everything was open except for Millennium Force. They hadn't gotten the train off the tracks yet. Steel Vengeance, we ended up getting rides on. Maverick, we got rides on. But then a cloud deck rolled in, and we got to ride Top Thrill 2 in the clouds, which is all kinds of fun in the back row because when you look out over the park on the spike, you can't see anything except for the ground below you. And then when you go up over the top hat, you can't see anything until you're dropping out of the corkscrew. You can't even see the ground. So overall, amazing experience. I would highly recommend it. Definitely get to Cedar Point. Right on, guys.
All right. Thank you so much for that trip report. So that's pretty nice, spending 3 days at Cedar Point, even if the first 2 aren't great weather-wise, nice that he got that third day.
That's a great trip report. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember riding Millennium Force my first time ever, and it was one of those cloudy days.
In the clouds.
And it went above the clouds. Like you actually, the lift hill went into the clouds, and it was wild. Never experienced anything like that since, but really cool. So
that's amazing.
So yeah, it sounds like they've got Top Thrill 2 humming, man, because like a lot of people saying the shake that was on the ride before is gone.
Yeah, it's getting, people are happy.
Yeah, so that's good. So let's see how it goes.
I know Cedar Point is happy.
Oh, I know you know they're happy, so that's good. One last quick hit here. I love the guys over at BGW Fans. They follow what's going on at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, including rumors of new attractions. They're always on it when there's any type of construction or survey markers. And then the guys start looking, at the public records and stuff and figuring out what's going on. I love it.
And this is some of the most professional reporting that I see from any website. I feel like, I mean, anybody can throw up a paragraph of text or link to some dumb press release or a Twitter, but the reporting on bgwfans.com is actually really solid.
Yeah.
So go to bgwfans.com. They are saying that there's something coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. What is this, between the Loch Ness Monster and San Marco?
Yes. So,
and they're saying it might be the return of Le Mans?
Yeah, maybe so. Like a Cars ride could be coming back. So I'll tell you, when I bring Emma and Claire to Busch Gardens, we always go to these kiddie rides. And I remember standing there in the kiddie ride section and seeing this huge area of trees that had been cleared in a perfect straight line, going all the way back towards Loch Ness Monster. So when you're standing in Italy and Loch Ness Monster, that's far away. I didn't realize it at the time. Somebody told me later that there is some type of pipeline underneath.
Yeah, gas line. Yep.
Yeah, and so they just have to keep that area clear. But what they're talking about is possibly in that area, there could be a bridge right where I usually stand watching my girls ride the rides. A 150-foot bridge that brings you into the center area of this, what is right now, forest. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about that would open up into a plaza, and between San Marco and Loch Ness, and to one side the Escape from Pompeii ride, there's going to be some type of an attraction that they say is some type of track ride, like either a car ride or a train ride is what it looks like to them. And they're saying that what a perfect timing for the 50th anniversary of Busch Gardens to actually have maybe bring back the Le Mans car ride.
Yeah, which opened with the park in 1975. This is like an antiques car attraction.
Yeah. So that's could be what we're looking at, but some type of attraction they're coming. We don't know, and it's all rumor right now, but that's really interesting. And I love how those guys, can find that stuff and we can start talking about it so early. It's so great.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So well done, gentlemen.
Yeah. Speaking of Busch Gardens Williamsburg, next weekend, they're doing all of the big events for the new Big Bad Wolf attraction. So if things go well, I'll be down there and doing kind of the same thing I did at Rapterra. So we will bring that to you on the show next week. That means we're bumping the anniversary show once again. That will be the week after that. But
that's the whole year is the anniversary, Mike. It's always the 20th season, all the way. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is all good. It's all good. So lots of great stuff. So keep watching for us on social media. We'll be asking you for your help with that anniversary show. But excited to see what Busch Gardens does with the Big Bad Wolf next week. That should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the second half of the show, Mike. Seth Kubersky is standing by. We're going to talk Epic Universe right after this.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins and EB.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with EB. Tons of things happening in the amusement industry, as we talked about in the first half of the show. But, EB, wouldn't you say the biggest story in a decade is Epic Universe at Universal Orlando?
It's arguably one of the biggest stories ever in the history of Coaster Radio for the past 20 years, Mike.
Yeah. And it's so great to have our next guest on. He's been on the show many, many times. Great friend of the show. And we were talking with him before we went on the air. His unofficial guide to Universal Orlando 2025 is something that got sent to both of us. Seth Kubersky joining us once again here on the show. Great to have you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, EB. It is always great talking to you. Thanks for having me back to talk about this really exciting time for Universal.
And before we get into it, let's talk about this book, which is so fantastic. And one of the reasons that EB and I love it the most is, I believe on page 24, you mentioned Coaster Radio.
You still make the cut. Every year I gotta,
it's so great. I love it.
Drop in, check out, make sure you guys are still, you're still living up to your reputation. But I'm happy to say you continue to make the cut, and I'm happy to advise people to check you out if they want to know more about this amazing industry.
Oh, great. Well, we were saying before we started the interview that even if you don't have immediate plans to go to Universal Orlando, it's such a great book to read because it gets you excited about everything that's going on there. And there's so many, trivia and tidbits and learning ways to navigate the park. So talk to us about what it takes I mean, because this is a book that gets updated year after year.
Yeah.
So what does it take? Like I'm sure it's a year-round effort.
It absolutely is, between this and the Disneyland book that we publish, and then I also help out. We've got a Walt Disney World book. We've also got a Disney Cruise Line book. So keeping the unofficial guides rolling is a year-round effort. It's like as soon as you get one book to a deadline, there's another one lined right up. But what it takes is a village. We've got a great team. Obviously, Bob Sellinger and Len Testa, who had the series before I came on board. I've only been around since 2012, so I'm a relative newcomer. But and this year, every year, we have a whole team of editors and various consultants, but the person who really came on board this year and made a huge difference was Alicia Stella, who a lot of people know from her Orlando Park stop. She is amazing about breaking news in the theme park industry, especially at Universal. And I could not have written a book about Epic Universe a year before it opened without her help.
Yeah, because I remember back long time ago when for the first rumblings of Epic Universe were going on. I think she was the first one to sort of plot out a rough idea of what the lands might be, and I think she got it she's pretty much on the nose, right?
It is eerie if you go back and look at some of her early blog posts from nearly a decade ago, the first hints of it, and how much stuff panned out to be absolutely right in the end. She's not a spy, and she's not a fortune teller, but she has an incredible ability to research patents and trademarks and public construction permit filings, and interpret all this arcane documents and turn it into an idea of what a park is going to look like that hasn't even been built yet, and she pretty much nailed it. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so she's been a huge help, and since the park has been in previews, I've gotten to spend time with her in the park, going around geeking out over stuff that we got right, and also taking lots and lots of notes on some of those little details that we did get wrong. Things change, and we might have been right on some things at one point, but by the time the park opens, things change. So
how do you feel? Universal has changed so much in the last 10 years, 20 years or so, even. Like, talk to me about how Universal is sort of fitting in, not just in Orlando, but worldwide, in terms of like the types of attractions, the types of hotels, and just everything that's going on. Like, I really feel like they have taken huge strides forward in the last 10 years.
I feel like you go back before Potter. Everything is kind of pre-Potter. Universal was very much and also ran to Disney. It was arguably their technology had always been better, but less reliable, and the Disney always had that special magic, and it created a bond, like a cultural bond with people, that even when Disney had down years, people would still come back just because of that nostalgia. I think Universal has kind of reached a tipping point where kids who are young, who went to Universal in those early years, and remember things like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, those are the brands that Universal is hauling back out now, and promoting through parades and possible upcoming attractions and special events. And so that kind of nostalgia that was once reserved just for the Disney experience, I think Universal is laying claim to. And with some of the IPs that they have, especially How to Train Your Dragon, Super Nintendo World, they've got IPs that are a lot more relevant to today's kids than Mickey Mouse is.
Well, let's jump into some Epic Universe talk, because how many times have you been?
So I got a very early press visit, the first day that they allowed anyone to have cameras. And gosh, I wish I had gotten to go one of those days before they allowed anyone to take out their phone. That was my dream, to walk around that park without being tempted to pull out my phone.
Yes.
But I was there for the very first press day, and then I purchased annual pass holder preview tickets for 4 days out of 5 last week.
Oh, nice.
So I had a very full epic experience last week.
Yeah. Excellent. So what do you think is the best way to do this? Should we talk to us about going into the park?
Yeah.
And go area by area?
Let's talk with the elephant in the room. This is not like the old Universal, where you could just walk from Universal Florida to Islands of Adventure right next door. This is a whole new campus that's several miles down the road. They built dedicated bus lanes to get you there. They've got the buses are really nice. They're electric. It's about 15-minute door to door from the old Universal to the new one, which is about going from Magic Kingdom to All Stars on a good day. So it's not a bad commute. But you can also just park right there. They've got their own valet and regular parking and everything. Or if you stay at either the Helios Grand, which is the new hotel built right into the park, or the Stella Nova right across the street, you can walk right in. The Stella is less than a 10-minute walk.
Okay. I didn't know
really
that. That's
super
good.
convenient.
Okay. Yeah.
Super convenient. So it's the entry feeling, the opening plaza, Celestial Park. You got some of the DNA of the old port of entry at Islands of Adventure, but in a kind of grander, mythological, inspired. It really reminds me of sections of Tokyo Disney Sea. A lot of this park reminds me in a good way of Tokyo Disney Sea, where you get these great vistas across amazing landscaping and water features, and the whole center of the park feels way, way bigger than the main street and the hub, and it just creates this kind of zen feeling. There's a custom soundtrack that's very chill. It's a very relaxing environment to just park yourself on a bench and relax, which is something that not a lot of other theme parks really encourage in the same way.
When you went to the park, how long did it take you to realize these things that you're describing about, the feeling? What did you get it as soon as you walked in, you were like, oh, this reminds me of this and I can feel this? Or did it take a couple of visits and then reflecting back?
Yeah, I mean, the vibe of the place really came across very quickly. Even that first media visit, we were all, I was with a bunch of really seasoned theme park reporters who have been all around the world to different parks. And as from the first time we were all walked in and just kind of standing around in the opening area and looking at the statues, looking at the trees, we were like, this is a different vibe. This feels different. There isn't the immediate weenie of, I've got to sprint to this ride. You feel like strolling and kind of soaking in the atmosphere of Celestial Park. And that kind of, because you have to keep coming back to Celestial Park in the center, it's this very unique, not the hub and spoke design that we're used to, where all the lands connect around the edge. Like in Disneyland, you go into a portal here and you are immersed in that world until you come back out. And so Celestial Park kind of works as this sorbet of this palate cleanser in between each experience. But then it also has a really great innovative carousel that is more of a dance than a traditional merry-go-round. The horses, or the animals, which are all based on constellations, rotate both in a wheel and then a wheel within a wheel, and then they rotate each on their own post, and it all moves in sync to this very chill vibe music.
Cool.
And Stardust Racers is, I keep going back and forth whether it's the best roller coaster in town or the second best next to Velocicoaster. Velocicoaster has the theme. It has those animatronic dinosaurs, and it has that Mosasaurus roll. But Stardust Racers has ejector airtime like I have never experienced in my life.
Wow.
It really, I keep saying that the first time I went over the first hill on the green side, which is the more intense side, in the back row, I saw my soul come out of my mouth. I was trying to run on my Apple Watch something that would record G forces. And it got well in excess of 4Gs before it kind of blinked out on me. So I have no idea how intense that ejector airtime is, but it was up there.
And it seems like, at least in some of the videos I've seen, I mean, you are racing for most of that ride.
It's really a beautiful layout of side by side, and at first you're paralleling each other, and then at the halfway point you start interweaving, and it becomes a dance. And it's worth sticking around past sunset. The queue instantly triples as soon as sun sets, because at night the track is pitch black with no illumination. The trains have these LED lights, and it's just truly magical, even being off ride and watching them dance through the sky. It's awesome. It's a work of art.
And did I actually see a flux capacitor on the back of the train?
Got some,
is it really there?
It's so funny.
There's a very deep backstory of Celestial Park that is not really explicitly expressed in any way to the guests, but there's lots of little Easter eggs that are kind of drawn from all different kinds of fiction. So not only is there a flux capacitor from the DeLorean on the back of each Stardust Racer, but the operator control panels are modeled after the Time Machine from the 1950s movie with Rod Taylor. So it's got that old Victorian kind of steampunk look to it. It's really it's a beautiful coaster, and it's just on the edge of being too intense to re-ride, but then you're like, no, I got to do that again. I got to try the other side now. I'm looking forward. Right now they were only running 2 trains on each track. I'm looking forward to when they get that up to full capacity. It's going to be a people eater.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And that's pretty good if you're saying you don't know if it's Velocicoaster.
Oh, I
That's good.
just got home an hour ago from riding Velocicoaster again, and Velocicoaster is actually getting a little rough. It could maybe use some downtime. It's still the uniqueness of that layout. Both the top hat and then that Mosasaurus roll. There's nothing on Earth like the Mosasaurus roll. Every time I think I'm going into the water.
Oh man!
But just the beauty of those airtime hills, and then the experience of spiraling in and out and seeing the other coaster around you.
So great.
It's truly worth. There's a few rides there that if you just get on those, and you've got your money's worth, and that's one of them.
All right, that's great.
Okay, so let's hang a left, because I think most people are, if they haven't already been to Super Nintendo World in California or Japan, I think Nintendo is got the most hype among mainstream people. And this is like the ultimate Super Nintendo World. But I'm going to have kind of a hot take, is that it feels really cramped already, and that's with limited capacity in the park. They kept the design of Japan because they had to kind of build it for where it had to go into the park in Japan, the topography of that park, and I think also it was kind of designed for when it was originally supposed to go into where Kid Zone was, and what eventually became DreamWorks Land. At one point, that was supposed to become Nintendo. So it's a really awkward design. It's cool the way you take this escalator with the warp pipe noises up to the second floor to start. But then if you want to do anything except for Mario Kart, you immediately have to walk down a set of stairs. If you are in a wheelchair or you just can't do stairs, you have to take an elevator up, walk across, and then take another elevator down.
Elevator back down again.
And that's a current theme throughout almost every attraction in the park. I can't understand why every ride requires you to walk up a set of stairs only to walk down a set of stairs. I get that in a Six Flags type park where you're basically just roller coaster tycooning the roller coaster down and then just drawing the queue line. However, doesn't matter. But when you're creating a themed environment, and you could design this however you want, put the load station wherever you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of maddening.
Is it maybe crowd control, or is it when you walk up and you get the view, right? There's like a reveal.
The views are amazing, and I will say, is an absolutely stunning reveal. It looks amazing on paper. It looks amazing in pictures. It creates an incredible environment, but it is, in terms of crowd flow, it is kind of a cluster.
Wow.
And it's a shame because it's got 3 of the rides that I think are going to be most in demand. You've got Mario Kart, which everyone's dream is to be in real life Mario Kart, right? And unfortunately, this ride is not fast. I hope the word has gotten out by now.
Yes.
This is a dark ride. It's augmented reality. The technology was really, really cool when they designed it for Japan like a decade ago, like before COVID. Now, like, I think the state of the art's kind of moved forward, and I hear a lot of people complaining that like they have trouble getting it to focus. It's jittery. They don't really get how it's supposed to work. Some people really love it too. So I think it kind of like a web slingers or a smuggler's run. It's going to be split between people who get really addicted to it and people who are like, okay, that was fine.
Right.
Yoshi is the only family-friendly, all-ages, slow-moving dark ride in the park. It's not even a dark ride; it's an outdoor ride, which means it's susceptible to rain, which is a big issue for the park that we can touch on. And finally, you have the only like true, other than for roller coaster, prototype, one of a kind, the Minecart Madness, the Donkey Kong ride, which is that experience of being in a car that actually flies off the track and jumps from one track onto another, and it looks amazing. It's an amazing ride to stand there and watch other people ride it. Unfortunately, it is rough as heck, and not in a fun, bumpy, old-fashioned wooden coaster way, but in you are sitting on the end of a long boom that is connected to a second hidden track, real track, and that length, that distance from where the actual track is to where you are mounted and seated and your heart line is, means that any little side-to-side vibration down below translates to a lot of side-to-side shuffling, and that's not the kind of roughness that I like on a roller coaster. That kind of lateral shaking, it makes the whole thing feel like a janky wild mouse that you'd get at a carnival. It's got some fun animatronics, but between the fact that it's only 4 passenger cars, and if they can get it to dispatch at the maximum rate, it'll barely chew through 1,000 people an hour at the absolute best, and every time I've gotten in line, it's broken down. So as someone who's gotten a couple rides on it, I gave it a second chance. It's going to be a while before I give it a third chance.
Yeah. Does it work though? Does the
illusion,
the track
is amazing if you're standing off ride, or if you're sitting in the front row. Sitting in the back row is slightly elevated, but really mostly you're seeing the people's heads in front of you, and you're not really getting that good view of the track gaps. You still get some of the effect, but I found the effect was much stronger in the front row. Which is the same. So 2 people out of 4 get the ideal effect. It is great fun, though, to stand and watch because it's really one of these rides that was designed almost more for the spectators than the riders.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
So I guess if we headed out, then the land that I was probably least excited about and ended up loving maybe the most is Isle of Berk, because I knew nothing about How to Train Your Dragon. I'd not seen any of the films before a week and a half before I went for the first time. Watched the first 2, loved the first one, liked the second one, fell in love with the land. It's great. It's the most complete land. Everything else basically feels like a box or a cross that leads to a couple e-tickets. This is designed as a big figure 8 with large bodies of water and multiple paths, so it feels more like a full environment and not just a setting for some rides. And it's got a solid family coaster. It's got a Gerstalt Skyfly, which I find absolutely maddening, and I'm going to keep trying it until I can get that thing to flip 360. And a splash battle, all of which is great, but it's the entertainment that makes this. Have either of you seen the videos of Toothless or Toothless's children?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
The meet and greet with the animatronic Toothless was one of the most. I recommend, don't rope drop the roller coasters, don't rope drop the dark rides, rope drop the meet and greet with the dinosaur.
Wow.
Because within half an hour, it's going to build to an hour and a half, and people wait that hour and a half happily. Because that is the coolest animatronic meet and greet I've ever done. It's so responsive. It feels nice to touch. It's soft. And, he looks at you and blinks and lets you touch his forehead. And it's a truly magical moment.
That's cool. Wow.
And then beyond that, there's all these walk around characters. There's these Boston Dynamic dogs, which I don't know they've dressed up.
Seen those too.
Oh my gosh, those are amazing. Disney gets all this hype for the little BD robots that come out once in a blue moon, but this is something that they're trying to do on a regular basis for guests. And then finally, they've got this Untrainable Dragon stage show that started out in Beijing. They changed it around a little for Florida, but it is a truly Disney quality, Broadway quality piece of stagecraft with singing, dancing, live drumming, and a dragon that flies over your head. And I swear to God, I'm a grown man. It made me weep. I get a little teary just thinking about him flying overhead and looking down and smiling at me. And man, it's real. As someone who came in not really caring about this franchise, they just nailed the heart, of creating a place that you just want to hang out because it makes you feel good.
Yeah, I'm hearing that it's the land that surprises people the most.
It wasn't on top of my list at all. And even down to the food, they've got this mead hall, and you order this big platter of sausages and chicken legs and salmon, and split it with your family for $50. Something I haven't mentioned much of, but the food, a couple bucks more expensive than at the other parks, but the quality, the fast food is of sit down quality. They really only have 2 table service restaurants, one that isn't even open yet, and one, the Atlantic, which is a seafood restaurant, which is good. I had a meal that was as good as anything I've had at Carthay Circle or one of the other top theme park restaurants. But all of the table, the quick service, which is actually table service, it's all mobile ordering. It's all, do it on your phone and they deliver it right to your table. So you don't have to tip, but you still have someone bringing your food to you. And it was all excellent. Like, I had many meals over many days, and there was not a bad choice among it.
Excellent.
So that was my biggest surprise.
That's awesome. That's great. Let's get around to Harry Potter.
Okay, let's do Harry Potter. This is going to be the hottest take because I love Paris, France. My biggest regret of my life is that I took a big trip to go to Disneyland Paris, and I wish I'd spend more time at Paris than Disneyland Paris. So I can have this moment of sitting at a cafe and hearing the music and looking out at the cobblestone streets and sipping a cup of coffee right here in my own backyard, and I will forever be grateful. But at least to the untrained eye, Wizarding Paris is not nearly as magical as Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley. For the average person, it's like, it basically looks like Epcot on a bigger scale. It's so realistic.
Sure.
It is so realistic. And it's not until you start peeking in the windows and seeing the little animatronics or noticing, the details. But it isn't obviously wizarding in the same way that Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley is. And then, the what is there is quite well done. The circus show, Cirque Arcana, is really kind of magical. It depends on the cast you get. They have multiple casts of actors. They're trying to run this show like every 45 minutes.
Sure.
And if you get the A cast, it's a really magical, touching experience. This blend of circus arts and puppetry and very high tech stage effects. And if you don't get the A cast, you still get all the high tech stage effects, but the dialogue's a little cheesy. If it's not done by someone just the right tone, it comes across as kind of goofy. So if you kind of drown that out and just appreciate it for the technology of it, assuming the show does not crash on you, which it has 50% of the time I've gone to see it. Circus,
no.
it's really it's touchy because there's so many moving parts, and it's like a safety thing. But when it works, it really works. But the elephant in the room is Battle at the Ministry. So
right.
I am happy to say that this is the single best dark ride I have ever been on anywhere in the world. The only competition really right now is the Frankenstein ride, which is a different kind of experience.
Okay.
This is if you are the kind of person who appreciates the blending of media and physical things to the point where you can't tell what's a screen, what is physical, where it feels like you're wearing 3D glasses, except there's no 3D glasses. I dig those kind of rides. And I think Universal got the balance between physical props, digital screens, animatronics, almost perfect. There are a couple moments, I will say, for the first 60 seconds of the first time I was riding this, I was like saying to myself, those are amazing screens, but there's a lot of them. For the first minute, you're like, that's a screen, and there's another screen, and there's another screen. And then you hit a moment in the ride where, without spoiling too much, if you imagine that moment of going into the AT-AT room in Rise of the Resistance, where you pull in and you see that huge room, and you're like, I've never seen any of this scale. Imagine that, except the animatronics are so good that you actually think they could be a real person, not just like Finn, the stormtrooper mannequin, stiffly moving back and forth, but really like having, every time I've been on the ride, someone next to me has been like, is that a person? So the only animatronic that I could compare making me feel that way was the first time I saw the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz in the Great Movie Ride, when that originally opened, and you're like that has to be an actress because an animatronic doesn't move that way. This is like that next level when you see it. There are a few points where they're doing the digital projections on animatronics, and it's way better than Anna and Elsa, but it's still a little uncanny valley. It's still not perfect. But just the flow of it, the storytelling of it, the sense of scale, like multiple moments in it where you just say, oh, wow, how did they do this? And that's not even talking about the queue getting up to it. If you take everything from the Gringotts queue and everything from the Forbidden Journey queue and plus them, and increase the scale, increase the scope, the queue is worth walking through, even if you never get on the ride, 100%. Talking about never getting on the ride.
I was interested to hear.
So we've done some estimates when this is finally up to its full potential. If they finally, I'm looking at some statistics that we were calculating earlier. If they finally get this up to its full theoretical maximum potential, it could be a huge people eater of over 2,000 people an hour. Even if they just get it up to running moderately well, it could be in the 16, 17, 1,800 people an hour, which is not terrible for a modern e-ticket,
Yeah.
But right now, my estimates are they're getting a few hundred people an hour through before it needs a little nap time. And and it's there's so many delicate moving parts. I myself got a very fun ride through where in the very first scene, all the video froze and we returned to like a neutral position, and then got to like kind of float through the whole thing, seeing the videos all like running out of sync or just frozen, and getting to see all the scenery reset. Absolutely amazing for spoiling how the ride works. But then at the end, they just applauded for us. They're like, "Did you enjoy the ride?" They didn't even have any clue that it didn't work right. No clue. So it's very, very temperamental. I gotta say, I was there when Spider-Man opened, and it was down to the wire whether Spider-Man was going to be. I remember testing it as an employee, as a team member back then, and waiting in line hours to ride Spider-Man, and then getting kicked out and coming back the next day to try to ride it again. And people were like, "Is it going to be ready for opening day?" And it finally was. And Gringotts, the same thing. They made it to opening day. It was up and down and up and down. Hagrid's, there's going to be teething pains, and anyone who is going opening day or opening week or opening month, be prepared to be satisfied with your visit to Epic Universe, even if you don't get to ride Ministry. I know they're actually, during previews, shutting it down entirely for a couple days to work on it, but they're letting people walk through the queue. If you get a chance to walk through the queue, that's almost an attraction enough. It's a phenomenal experience. And hopefully you'll come back in a few years, and all of Universal. I mean, this is what Universal does, going back to the days of Jaws and King Kong. They open something that is just never quite ready for prime time, and early guests, we early adopters are guinea pigs. I paid a daily fee for 4 days of attempting to ride Battle of the Ministry. I got to say, personally, they are currently using a virtual line system, which everyone I know who is in the know says they are doing everything they can to not have to do that on opening day, because they know everyone hates it. No one likes the virtual line system. Virtual line systems are great for people who know how they work and how to game them. Like I was great with it on Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy because I knew how to work the system. I know how to work this system, and I still was 0 for 12 over 4 days, 3 attempts a day, knowing every trick in the book, every tool. 0 for 12. So
and if
I can't figure it out, I very luckily had a friend one day who did get it, and that's how I got my one ride there, and then I had gotten to do it during the press event. But I I was I spent way too many hours staring at my phone. There's lots of vlogs out there and people giving you tips. My tip is just make peace with the universe and accept that you will not ride it. And if somehow you happen,
peace with Epic Universe.
If you somehow happen to ride, great, but don't count on it. Don't plan on it. Don't expect it.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. I like that,
Just
because
be
then
zen.
you're not going to be disappointed, but you might be thrilled.
Yes, exactly.
If you do get on it.
Exactly. But if you do get on it, it really makes it hard to go back. I just today was at the old parks, and the old parks are dead right now. In the span of 5 hours. I was able to do every e-ticket except for Hagrid in both parks. But going back, Spider-Man is still a phenomenal ride, and Forbidden Journey is still a phenomenal ride. But even just looking at the technology, the crispness of the video projections, the smoothness of the animatronics, just everything in the new park is just taking to such a new a level that it's making everything else that I look at lately look kind of awesome.
Well, you keep saying the old
The old
park, the
part.
old
I know
park.
that's
It's like
terrible. The
old
original, the
park,
classic.
right?
I think that over the next couple of years, they're gonna have to pour some love. We know that Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is going away, and that
Yep.
the smart money is on something similar to that spinning Fast and Furious roller coaster that they're putting out in Hollywood.
Yep.
And if that happens, then that Fast and Furious ride, that's got to be on the chopping block. And Simpsons, I think the Simpsons days are numbered. I know that they want a place to put Pokemon. I know they want a place to put Legend of Zelda. They've even hinted at that by having a stained glass window of Link in the Super Nintendo store in the new park. So I think the original parks are gonna get some love, but it is very obvious right now that all the focus is on Epic Universe for sure.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time left, but you did say already that you said already that the top 2 dark rides out there right
Yes,
now.
it's neck and neck, and
well, what's let's get into the monsters. Dark Universe.
Monsters Unchained is the signature e-ticket at Darkmoor, which is the Dark Universe. This is an updated reimagining of all the classic monsters, and you are going into the manor of the great granddaughter of the original Henry Frankenstein. Amazing queue, like Hogwarts, like Forbidden Journey, as a Halloween Horror Nights. Like no jump scares, but just the detail, all of the Easter eggs. If you like the old classic films, and even if you aren't, it's got enough information to catch you up.
Yeah.
You've got a pre-show that has the 2 best animatronics. The fluid movement of the ones in the Harry Potter ride is one thing, but the expressive face on the Victoria Frankenstein, I had to look at it. It's a combination of physically moving and projected at the same time, so you get expression and wrinkling of the brow and nuance of the blinking eyes that it is very, very uncanny. And then the Frankenstein, the way he walks, the way he moves, that pre-show alone is e-ticket. And then everything you liked about the Forbidden Journey ride system, that Kuka arm, taken to a further extreme, more thrilling, more time on your back, being thrown forward, not as terrifying as a haunted house, but the closest thing to jump scares that we've ever had in a theme park dark ride.
Oh, that's cool. Yes.
Great animatronics. Even when a bunch of the animatronics are not working correctly, it's still just such an incredible experience. The screens are just there to kind of give depth and to fill in some of the gaps, but there's so much physical over and over again.
Yeah.
You've got real things coming at you in your face. And it's got a sense of humor. That's what makes it most re-rideable. Just like Spider-Man, it's got this quirky sense of humor, and so much character. The spinning roller coaster they've got right outside it is kind of disposable. It would be a great coaster if it was about a few hundred feet longer, but it ends just when it's getting good. But the atmosphere, you got to spend time in there after dark. It's a good thing that they just extended the hours till 10 p.m. I'd be happy if they opened this park later and kept it open until midnight, because it is gorgeous at night. The lighting, the atmosphere, especially, and they've got smoke pouring out of the village well, and you see the lightning crackling, and it's just a dream come true for old school horror nerds like myself.
Oh, yeah. And like the Burning Blade Tavern, here's
a hint. You don't have to stand there waiting for it. When you hear the bells, then you go over to the tavern, because the bells signal that the tavern is going to burst into flame. And it does this whole big dramatic buildup with music, and you can hear the villagers with the torches and the pitchforks. And finally, you hear Frankenstein moaning. It's amazing.
That's so cool.
And then go inside the Burning Blade Tavern and order a crossbow, which is a strongbow cider with black currant mead, and it's really well balanced and it's really potent. And they have these characters called hunters who hang out there. Ask them about any of the monster heads that are on the walls, and they have a story for each and every one.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay,
that's
cool.
You were mentioning the Monsters ride, and I have been trying so hard to not watch.
It's hard to avoid those
POVs.
POVs.
And it's hard, especially if you're on Instagram, because people are putting it on there.
They
So
just pop
Yeah,
up.
you
yeah,
can't scroll.
and so they showed this part of the pre-show, and I was like, all right, let me just
Yeah.
see what this is, because I saw the Frankenstein animatronic.
Mhm.
I thought the Victoria Frankenstein character was a real
The
actress.
first time I walked in there, I was like,
Yes.
how is that an animatronic?
Yeah.
You see it up close, and you see it's projectors from multiple angles. It doesn't have that Anna and Elsa and Frozen
Right.
glowing
Mhm.
face thing. The blend of the physical and the digital is just perfect, and that's something you see over and over throughout the park. Kind of the way IOA with Spider-Man in 3D was a generational leap back in 99.
Mhm.
This is kind of the next big generational leap in technology that makes it hard to go back to the old stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I love Universal so much is I remember going to Islands of Adventure in 1999 and them saying back then, like, this is the most technologically advanced theme park in the world. It seems to me they've done it
Yeah.
again, but even bigger
Yeah.
this time.
And it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, but it's also it's a dangerous thing, because this is a park with some of the best e-tickets in the world and some of the most amazing atmosphere in the world. And there is, if you start digging into things like the interactive wands and the power-up bracelets, there is a ton to do. I spent 4 days, and while I did do every single ride, I didn't necessarily do every single experience, all the meet and greets and everything. There is depth to the park, but I feel like there is a lack of those B and C tickets, those mid-tier rides that soak up capacity, that people can get into line and can reliably wait 20 minutes for instead of 2 hours for. The people movers, the teacups, those kind of low impact, family friendly, even another Omnimover, that kind of thing that soaks up capacity, and then also that doesn't go down for technology or user error,
Right.
or also for rain. That's this park's big Achilles heel. For a park that is built in a state that has increasingly unstable weather, where our summers are more extreme in terms of heat, and our falls are more extreme in terms of the hurricanes we get. It's almost a criminal that there, in a few years the trees will grow in, so there'll be more shade. But there are literally only 3 attractions in the entire park that can run in heavy rain. You've got Mario Kart, you've got Monsters Unchained, and you've got Ministry of Magic. And Ministry of Magic, that'll be overwhelmed. So, I mean, it really, there's just nowhere to go for all these people when we had, lightning close enough to the park this week when it rolled in and just shut everything down. And that's really rough. So I think, I'm sure Disney's building their new park in Abu Dhabi on Yas Island, and I'm sure in that big blurry concept art, there's a lot of indoor attractions and coverings and canopies. I liked when I was in Tokyo Disneyland the way they had the covering over their main version of Main Street, and lots of alleyways where you get from one area to the other without being outside. And I really wish that Universal had taken that tack with this park.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about too is, so when you have been to the park, it's kind of been in preview mode.
Absolutely. So yeah, it means I'm guinea pig. So you never know when something will break down, but it also means that they've capped capacity. The days that I was there, I think it was capped at about 10 or 11,000. I heard today they were up around 13 or so. I think that opening day, I think it's going to be capped under 20,000 because they want opening day itself to be as smooth as possible. But when this eventually goes up to 30,000 people a day, 35, 40,000 people a day,
wow,
I think it's going to get really uncomfortable. They've already got plans for expansion. You can already see the expansion pads getting prepped. I think they've got things like temporary entertainment like cover bands and random atmosphere characters, the kind of things you would hire for a wedding that they've got in Celestial Park, just to kind of create a little more of something to occupy people's time. But I do think that when this park is packed to the gills, you are definitely going to hear people shouting that there is not enough to do. Which is a shame because this, along with Tokyo Disney Sea and Epcot, depending on the season, is one of the few theme parks that I could go to for a full day and only do a couple of rides and still feel satisfied, because there's enough atmosphere, there's enough street entertainment, there's enough, just immersion, that I don't feel like I have to just run from attraction to attraction. And I think if you look at Epic in that way, then it's a really complete package. It's a really well-balanced park. My wife hates theme parks to the point where, like, normally she's got a 4-hour timer, and when it hits 4 hours, she's just like, "Take me home. I'm done."
Yeah, I'm done.
And she stayed with me at Epic from opening till close, and she was dead tired. But even on our very last ride, she was like, "I'm glad I did that. We had fun."
Wow.
So
All right.
that's saying something.
The highest compliment is it's tolerable from Seth's wife.
The wife acceptance factor is very very key.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I hope that people have a good time and don't get put off by the growing pains, because there's definitely going to be growing pains this summer. People haven't seen a brand new theme park from the ground up in this country in over 20 years. And it was before the social media age. So I don't, know what, if people's expectations for what that's really like are realistic, or if they, if they don't have the perfect experience and get the perfect coverage on their gram, if they don't check everything off, the FOMO is just going to ruin their whole day. Maybe don't come opening season. Maybe give it a little time. This fall, early September, ticket prices drop. First week of September is a great time to come. Hold off till then.
Too. That I was actually kind of thinking that myself. That if that
now that the word's out, now everyone who's listening to this is going to go, and now crowds will go up.
There you go. Seth, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry to take up so much of your time, but I can ramble on. We didn't even get to touch on the project that's coming to Great Britain that finally got approval. I just know a lot of it seems copy and pasted from other parks, mostly Asian parks. They know they don't want to cannibalize the Orlando park, because UK people all come to Orlando, but that roller coaster on the far left side, Back to the Future Courthouse Square, they did an amazing job with FanFest nights at Universal Hollywood.
That's been so cool to see.
If they could create a year-round, Hill Valley experience, I will fly over just for that.
Me too.
Well, it kind of makes you wonder, was that a little bit of a test, as doing the fan experience?
Everything is a test.
Can we pull off?
Everything is a test.
Seth,
this is great. We got to do this again soon.
Yes. And before you go, tell everybody where they can find everything about you, so they can follow you, but also, read
Absolutely.
your
well, the number one place to go is theunofficialguides.com. That's where you can pick up copies of all of our books. We'll ship it directly to you. And I'm on social media at The Unofficial Guides and at S. Kubersky.
Seth, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I learned so much tonight, so I appreciate it, and our audience does too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Love talking to you.
Oh man, it was so great to talk to Seth once again. Like I think that is somebody that I would love to hear from more often, like even like a couple times a year, just to keep us updated on, because he's not only covering like what's going on at Epic Universe, but all the parks in Orlando. So great to hear from him.
Yeah, he's obviously not covering Lost Island, which is a full-blown theme park, Mike, that did open in the last 20 years.
That's true.
I'm just saying. Seth's awesome, and he gets around a lot, and he's got great friends. He talked about, friends who can study the plans and kind of get insights, and then the people that he's going to the parks with and hanging out. So he's in the know, and he's our friend too. And so that's a great friend of the show, Seth Kubersky. So Seth, come back again very, very soon.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when Epic Universe opens wide and what happens over the year and over into the next year. It's going to be great. It's a great thing to follow.
Well, and he was saying the teasing of what else is to come, right? Are we going to get Pokemon? Are we going to get The Legend of Zelda? What is going to go on the expansion pads that we're already seeing over there at Epic Universe? It's going to be great to keep looking ahead and seeing what's next.
Yeah, the Universal parks are so interesting to watch because they're always pushing technology, even from the old days. Like you mentioned, Jaws. That was a ride that pushed technology probably faster than maybe it should have been, but it was awesome. And they've done that all the way around. Spider-Man, you go back and yes, it looks a little dated, but it still holds up as one of the best theme park rides in the world. And that was like 25 years ago. So awesome stuff, man. I love talking this stuff. It's so great.
Yeah. Very cool. So thanks to Seth, our great friend. Thanks to everybody listening. And thanks to our friends at patreon.com/Coaster Radio. If you want to support the show, go to Patreon. That's the best way to do it. You can chip in $1, $5, $10, whatever you think. There's perks. There's bonus content at the $20 pledge level at patreon.com/Coaster Radio. We read your name at the end of the podcast.
Yes, let's say thanks to Alex Payne, Ashton Rowe, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick, the Sweatshirt Guy, our friends at Club Z, the two bearded Coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, Dino, Grace, and John Brody.
Also, John Brown, Josh Combs, Justin Padilla, Karen Lee Howard, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Nick from Paris, Paolo de los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter.
And I'm sure you have seen that brand new CoasterRadio.com logo for our 20th season. That is courtesy of Lindner Design Company. Our good friend Kyle over there specializes in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. You can find them on Instagram at Lindner, LINDNER_design.
That's right. Thank you, Kyle, so much. And if you want to get something with a logo on it, go to the CoasterRadio.com website, scroll down and find the t-shirt shop. There's t-shirts. There's a beach towel. Mike, there's also a CoasterRadio.com thong.
Oh, it's there.
It's there. So yeah, go to CoasterRadio.com. You can find all the ways to support the show, all the links to social medias, the referral links at the top for Hotels.com and Amazon. But of course, that t-shirt shop, you want to go and get the that great logo on a t-shirt and start wearing it into the parks. That's what I want to see. I want to see people taking pictures with the Coaster Radio swag in the parks and then calling your trip report.
Yeah. And even though our audience is like 90% dudes, like I've heard that wearing a thong to the theme park is pretty comfortable.
It's a great way to get people to give you space in the queue line.
That's right. You don't want people right up on you. Wear the thong.
Just show up
People are going to back the hell away. Yes. So see, that's what you could do. Yeah. So that's why we sell it.
For some reason, the t-shirt works that way too. Just the logo is like, back away from that guy.
What's that guy into? Coaster Radio. Oh my God.
Radio. All right. Well, Mike, this has been so much fun.
Yes.
We're gonna do. We're doing the anniversary show next week.
No. So we're gonna do
Big Bad Wolf next week.
Big Bad Wolf next week. Then anniversary show. So lots of good stuff happening.
Are you gonna get on the Big Bad Wolf next week?
I am. I'm gonna do it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
So fun. That's so great.
I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see how different it is from Phoenix Rising, and I'm really looking forward to see the theming that they do around that ride. So, and plus, we're gonna get to talk to the ride designers. We're gonna get to talk to the park president. Lots of stuff coming up. Should be great.
That's going to be a lot of fun. All right.
We will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at coasterradio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening. Peace out, suckers. Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.